Hello everyone, and welcome to Real Story Recap. This is your new go-to place for thrilling, edge-of-your-seat movie story breakdowns. In today's video, I'll be recapping a gripping survival adventure from 2024, a film packed with suspense, betrayal, and a terrifying jungle tribe. The title? River of Blood. But before we dive into this wild and intense storyline, let me take a second to say, I hope you're having an amazing day. Now sit back, relax, and get ready, because things are about to get dark, dangerous, and deadly. The film kicks off deep in a Southeast Asian jungle, where a crew is hard at work cutting down trees. One of the loggers, behind the wheel of a truck, spots a strange figure off in the trees, but just shrugs it off and gets back to work. A moment later, it looks like his buddy is being attacked by something. The logger grabs an axe, gets out of his truck, and calls out for his friend. To his horror, all he finds is his coworker's bloody helmet and a severed finger on the ground. Terrified, the guy bolts in the opposite direction. He manages to scramble out of a hidden pit trap, only to run straight into another one, getting snagged by a vine that leaves him dangling upside down. That's when a creepy-looking tribal boy calmly walks up to him and finishes the job. We then jump to a nearby resort where two couples, Richie and Jasmine and AJ and Maya, are on vacation. Over breakfast, Richie suggests the guys go kayaking down the river the next day while the women go shopping. Jasmine gets a little offended, insisting the women are just as adventurous and will be coming along. Richie then drops some big news. He just sold his company and wants to celebrate by paying for everyone's trip, expenses and all. Maya is thrilled, but you can tell AJ isn't too happy about it. Later, back in their room, an irritated AJ asks Maya why Richie has to pay for them, wondering if his friend thinks they're broke. Maya tries to calm him down, reminding him that he and Richie have been best friends forever, and it's no big deal. But AJ is still salty that Richie never included him when starting the company, even though they were so close. We find out AJ works for Maya's dad, and he hates it because he's pretty sure everyone thinks he only got the job by marrying the boss's daughter. The next day, the group gets ready for their kayaking adventure and meets their guide, a guy named Nick. He hands out life jackets, and then Richie can't resist taking a jab at AJ, saying the trip is a bit pricey but not to worry, he's got it covered. The couples get into their kayaks, and Nick, in his own boat, gives them a quick lesson on how to paddle. After they've been on the water for a bit, Nick suggests they camp out for the night and head back to the resort in the morning. The group is game, so Nick asks for their phones to keep them safe in a waterproof bag. Everyone hands theirs over except for AJ, who claims he has to stay on top of work stuff. As they continue down the river, Nick shares that his dad, grandpa, and great-grandpa were all guides in this very area. He tells them his great-grandfather was the first to explore here, but vanished after running into an indigenous tribe. Later, his belongings were found next to human feces that contained human bones. The implication is clear: the tribe are cannibals. Nick assures them the tribe's territory is far away and off-limits. The women are freaked out, but the guys brush it off as a spooky campfire story. In another part of the forest, a vlogger couple on a motorcycle pulls up to a sign marking the restricted area. They film a quick video, bragging to their 30,000 viewers that they're going to ignore the "Do Not Enter" warning. They blow past the sign and speed into the woods, but their adventure is cut short. The man is suddenly stabbed in the throat, and his girlfriend is knocked off the bike. She stumbles around looking for him, only to find his decapitated head. Back with our main group, AJ and Richie are acting like kids, splashing water on each other. Things go too far when AJ accidentally flings a python into Richie's kayak, sending Richie and Jasmine screaming into the water. AJ thinks this is hilarious and starts filming Richie to mock him, just as he tumbles into the river himself. Meanwhile, the terrified vlogger woman limps through the forest and finds a massive cave. Inside, she sees bloodstains on the walls. Panicking, she pulls out her phone to record a desperate plea to her followers. but a tribesman is right behind her. He brutally kills her by throwing her boyfriend's bloody head at her, before claiming her head as well. Elsewhere, the kayaking group has made it to shore to set up camp for the night. AJ is fuming because his phone, which fell in the river earlier, is dead, and he can't deal with his work. As night falls, Nick and Maya are chatting by the fire. He shows her a photo of his great-grandfather who disappeared in these woods, and tells her a story about a logger who was kidnapped and tortured by the tribe. Nick explains they didn't kill the logger right away. Because they don't have refrigeration, they would cut off pieces of their victims gradually to keep the meat from spoiling. Incredibly, the logger managed to escape, even after they'd sliced his heels open, and was found screaming about being chased by flesh-eating children. Just then, AJ walks up, clearly jealous seeing Maya with Nick. He dismisses the story as nonsense and tells Maya it's time for bed. Later that night, Jasmine wakes up and wanders into the woods to pee. But then AJ appears and embraces her. It turns out they're having an affair. Jasmine wants to come clean to their partners, saying that was the whole point of this trip. AJ shuts her down, saying he can't hurt his lifelong best friend. He also mentions that Maya's dad is about to retire, and he needs to stick around to take over the company. Jasmine is furious, realizing AJ is just stringing her along and has no intention of leaving his wife. After a heated argument, she storms off deeper into the woods, while AJ heads back to camp, not realizing that both Richie and Maya were awake and heard everything. The next morning, the group wakes up to find Richie gone. To make matters worse, he seems to have taken Nick's kayak, which had all their phones in it. Worried, they hop in the remaining 2 kayaks to look for him. They soon reach the part of the river that leads into the forbidden zone. Nick begs them not to go any further and suggests they turn back to get the authorities. But the others won't leave Richie behind, with AJ insisting the whole cannibal story is just bullshit. With no other choice, Nick reluctantly agrees to go with them. Inside the restricted area, they find an empty kayak and a life jacket, but no sign of Richie. The 3 of them decide to search the woods while Nick agrees to wait by the shore, warning them that if they aren't back in an hour, he's leaving without them. As soon as they're gone, Nick starts hearing strange noises. He pulls out his knife and cautiously ventures into the trees to investigate. He stumbles upon a horrifying scene: several scarecrows dressed in clothes and a tree decorated with the belongings of past victims. Chillingly, he sees his own great-grandfather's hat among the trinkets. Then he spots a tribesman camouflaged nearby. The terrified guide makes a run for it with the tribesman hot on his heels. He makes it back to the kayak, and for a moment, everything goes quiet. Nick thinks he's safe, but then suddenly he's attacked and killed. Meanwhile, the trio finds the cave where the vlogger was murdered and discovers a bloody helmet. Just then, Richie pops out of nowhere, laughing. He apologizes, saying he couldn't sleep and just wandered off. They ask him about the bag with the phones, but he claims he didn't take it. On their way back to the river, AJ asks Richie if he's okay and why he took off like that. Richie's friendly demeanor vanishes. He suddenly accuses AJ of being jealous of his success, saying AJ married a beautiful woman and got a cushy job without lifting a finger, but it's still not enough for him. Then, Richie hands AJ his phone, saying it's working now. The look on his face makes AJ realize the horrifying truth. Richie went through his phone and knows all about the affair. When they get back to the shore, Nick and his kayak are gone. They assume he ditched them but find his knife left behind on the ground. The 4 of them get into the remaining kayaks and start paddling away. A little further downriver, they spot Nick's kayak beached on the shore. Curious, they go to investigate and find a pot cooking over a fire. They look inside and are met with the gruesome sight of Nick's severed head boiling in the water. It finally sinks in that the guide's stories were all true. They scramble back to their kayaks and paddle for their lives, not knowing a tribesman is watching them from the riverbank. Suddenly, the man bursts out of the water and attacks AJ. The others fight back, and Maya smashes the man with a rock while AJ stabs him to death with Nick's knife. From a distance, another tribesman watches the whole thing unfold but doesn't step in. By now, the current has swept their kayaks away. As the group frantically searches for them, the second tribesman approaches his dying friend. He puts him out of his misery with an axe to the chest, then rips out his heart and begins to eat it, vowing revenge. As darkness falls, the group realizes they've lost the river and their boats. They have no choice but to hunker down for the night, agreeing to take turns on watch. Later, while Richie is on watch, Maya comes to talk to him. He tells her that Jasmine is finally pregnant after 3 years of trying, but the gut-wrenching part is that he got tested and knows the baby isn't his. Despite the betrayal, Richie says he still loves his wife and plans to stay with her. Sometime later, it's AJ's turn on watch. Bothered by mosquitoes, he covers his body in mud. In the distance, the vengeful tribesman is stalking them, waiting for the right moment. AJ lies down, almost completely hidden in the mud. The tribesman walks right past him, and AJ seizes the opportunity, attacking him with the knife. But the tribesman is too powerful and easily knocks AJ out. Just as he's about to finish him, Richie appears and attacks from behind. During the struggle, the unconscious AJ slips and falls into a deep crevice. When AJ wakes up, he sees a group of tribespeople have captured Richie and are preparing to eat him. While they're distracted by a ritual, AJ crawls through the bushes to his friend. Richie begs for help, but AJ tearfully says there's nothing he can do. He promises to save the women and runs away, leaving Richie pleading for him not to go. The tribe gathers around Richie, cuts his heel, and has a young boy smell the blood. Then, strangely, they set him free. An injured Richie limps through the forest, desperately trying to escape, but he's lost and surrounded. He runs into the same young boy from before and begs for help, but the boy just shoves him, causing him to fall backward onto a sharpened stake that pierces his heart. The next morning, the women wake up to find a blood-covered AJ. Richie is gone. AJ lies, telling them Richie went on ahead to find their jeep. The three of them manage to find the river again, but they panic when they see a tribesman following them. They bolt back into the woods, but their escape is short-lived. Jasmine trips a trap and a sharp stake impales her shoulder. As she cries out in pain, Maya tells AJ to lower a vine down. She climbs into the pit to help her friend. Overcome with guilt, Jasmine hysterically apologizes to Maya for betraying her. Maya calms her, telling her she already knows everything. After a painful process, Maya removes the stake, and AJ pulls them both out of the hole. Weak and injured, the trio finally makes it back to the river and finds one of their kayaks. It's a small relief, but without a paddle, they drift slowly. Later, while the girls are asleep, AJ gets out of the kayak and sneaks back into the forest. He records a video on his phone explaining their situation and leaves it playing on a tree branch at full volume. The sound lures a tribesman, who curiously picks up the phone. AJ ambushes him from behind, but the man is too strong. He tortures AJ, shoving his face into the mud to suffocate him and beating him with an axe. Finally, the tribesman ties a vine around AJ's neck and hangs him from a tree. As the tribesman spots the women in the kayak and prepares to attack, AJ sees a knife stuck in the tree. He manages to cut himself free and throws the knife, hitting the tribesman. Now awake, the women watch in horror as AJ tackles their attacker. The two men are locked in a bloody, brutal fight. The women use the distraction to escape in the kayak. It looks like it's over for AJ, but he gets his hands on the tribesman's weapon and viciously kills him. AJ swims and manages to catch up to the kayak. But just as he's about to climb in, he sees a large group of tribespeople gathered on the shore. Memories of Richie flash through his mind, and consumed by guilt for abandoning his best friend, he decides to make a final stand. Ignoring Maya's desperate pleas, he turns back to the forest. AJ charges at the tribe, swinging the axe wildly, but he is quickly overpowered and killed. In the final scene, Jasmine and Maya reach the shore and struggle up a massive cliff. Exhausted but alive, they finally make it out of the forest. They soon run into some locals who give them a ride back to civilization, bringing their terrifying ordeal to an end. And that wraps up the intense and chilling story of River of Blood, a brutal journey of survival, secrets, and sacrifice deep in the heart of the jungle. If you enjoyed this recap and want more gripping stories like this, don't forget to hit that like button, subscribe to Real Story Recap, and turn on the bell icon so you never miss a single upload. Got a movie you'd like me to break down next? Drop your suggestions in the comments below. I'd love to hear from you. Thanks so much for watching, take care, and I'll see you in the next story recap. Until then, stay curious, stay safe, and keep watching.